Hello, welcome back to this edition of Naughty Boy Fight Picks, UFC Lincoln or Fight Night 135 Gaethje versus Vic recap. As you can see, I'm not alone, which is strange for me because I lead a lonely existence. Yeah, a few things to get into today, but I guess the first thing to do is to introduce the man to my right or your left on the YouTube, I'm not sure. This is professional dad, professional cockfighter, human cockfighter, professional quarterman to human cockfighters, and professional younger brother of myself, Big Matty Ray Steels.
Hello.
That's him.
That's me. All of those things.
Yeah. So, very happy to have my brother along finally. We've been trying to do this for a while, but we live in different countries. Our nephew is staring, or not our nephew, your son. My nephew's looking at us weirdly, wondering what we're doing, and being a very good, quiet boy. We're just going to get in, we're going to recap the fights today, and but first I want to brag a bit about my betting, obviously, because I did very well yesterday. Made 23 point something units, went up the leaderboard on Bet MMA to like number 45, and improved my ROI to I think 22 or 23%. So I'm very stoked. And also my sister-in-law, I got on her betting account and made her a gang of money too, which she doesn't really need, but I was happy.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. Go make your brother's wife happy by winning her some money for your brother's sake. Alright, so I guess we might as well rip into this card straight away. Performance of the night, obviously Gaethje got that, but also Eric Anders. Surprising, right?
Surprising, because Anders got the shit beaten out of him for the majority of the fight, and only came back to steal it in the dying second. So
yeah, maybe it was because he like knocked out Voldemort, and that was just, I guess, a monumental thing to do. All the Harry Potter fans were like, that man deserves a bonus.
Yeah, they lost a few Harry Potter fans.
Fight of the night obviously went to Alcantara and Corey Sandhagen.
Insane fight.
Crazy.
Insane.
But we'll get to that in a second. I don't want to fucking read out the attendance and gate and whatnot. But so, first fight of the night was Honey Yaya versus Luke Sanders. Yaya getting the submission very early in round one. Thoughts on that, Matty? You enjoyed that?
I love seeing good jiu-jitsu played in MMA, and like there's a lot of top level guys who try and bring their jiu-jitsu to the MMA scene and have varying levels of success. But what's pretty cool about Yaya is he's just got a strong guard game, and to see someone like pull half guard in an MMA fight and at the level of the UFC and attack that. So I think he pulled half guard, went to deep half, looked to take the back when that wasn't happening. And this is with the cage at his back too, so he didn't have a lot of real estate to work with. He transitioned to a heel hook, didn't get that. As Sanders was pulling out, he still kept that leg, and then just got real deep in it, got the knee back and hit the submission. I had to watch it twice. It was sick. I loved it. So that, I was just completely lost when Matt was talking there, so that's why it's great to have him along today, because he actually knows some shit about jiu-jitsu. Me, I've done one jiu-jitsu class, so I could tell you, what could I tell you about jiu-jitsu? Just tap. I could tell you about tapping real quickly. But yeah, that fight was excellent. I think, did you notice early, before it got to the ground, Yaya landed some good strikes too, and it seemed to be due to the threat of his jiu-jitsu. Like, Sanders was wary, and that was creating openings on the feet for Yaya as well, who isn't an amazing technical striker. No, but it's a good, like having the southpaw to orthodox matchup is always good for the jiu-jitsu guy, because it means that especially gi players who like to take the single leg, that leg's right there to be able to reach. And if you haven't got the finesse and striking and throw like big looping shots like Yaya does, means that you can set up that single leg grab by throwing big loopy overhands and getting in on it. I think he actually ended up kind of pushing him up against the cage. But and the other thing with Sanders is he stands really side on too. He's got quite a side on stance, so just made that even more available.
Yeah. The other thing about Sanders too is I think he wears a top knot.
I noticed that. So, it's bad for aerodynamics. It's bad for trying to find a mate.
Yeah.
Trying to find deep love with a woman. All of those things.
Yeah. So great start to the card. And then the next fight I found fucking excellent as well. Drew Dober getting the unanimous decision over John Tuck. He got a couple of 10-8 rounds there from a few of the judges. Pretty. Well, which round would have that been? 1 or 2 was real dominant, hey?
Would have been 2, and he spent a lot of time on top in 3 as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, what I think of this fight, I would have. The exchanges on the feet were real fun. Like they were both getting off shots and being real aggressive. I kind of wish Dober didn't get the takedown so often, but that was smart by him.
He played a really smart game, and like coming into this weight division, I think he's a big threat. Like his striking looked crisp. I noticed how he was bouncing around on his toes, which with a guy like John Tuck, I thought maybe he's standing a little bit tall, but obviously he's a high pedigree from high school as a wrestler, so he's obviously confident in being able to sprawl his hips. But he looked good in controlling the ring. He was pushing Tuck back against the cage, and Tuck was playing pretty smart too. Like it wasn't a one-sided affair. Like he was sliding back, throwing that rear hand nice and straight and clean and crisp. And he busted Dober up a bit too, but cut him above the bridge of the nose.
That was the fight where was that Dober threw the kind of over elbow right through Tuck's guard? Was that fight?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
that was beautiful.
There's something else about that fight that I found particularly impressive and one thing I like about Dober is his top game in the jiu-jitsu, especially there tends to be a bit more of a tendency in the UFC reffing now for them to hurry up the action on the ground. And there's plenty of times where he could have passed into side control or into full mount, but he allowed Tuck to reclaim the guard, and then you just work back to half guard again. And he repeated that sequence, and half guard's probably the best position from the top in MMA to be able to get working, because the guy on the bottom needs to dig for the underhook, and Tuck was reluctant to get that done because Dober was just raining down punches on him. Yeah, it's really nice work.
Yeah, another thing I was impressed with by Dober was a guy coming down from welterweight, that kind of thick set, and he went, man, for 3 rounds. He put a pace on,
for sure,
both on the feet and on the ground. He was busy as fuck.
100%, yeah.
Great performance by Dober. Next fight on the card, we had Jojo Calderwood defeating Kalindra Faria via submission. Armbar right at the very end. I didn't realise how close that was to the end of the first round.
Yeah, there's only a couple seconds left.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, huge win for Calderwood. I think she might have been coming off a loss or 2. And I definitely, from what I know about her career, she's had lots of difficulties shifting camps. Like a few years ago, she left her team over in the UK because she was dating the coach, and everything.
Keep it out of the gym, bro.
Yeah, everything was a shambles for her. So I think you saw that kind of emotion from her getting things back on track, and yeah.
But she caught her in the end in a triangle, and it looked like she was in the position to finish, but she wasn't moving the arm across. She was favouring getting some damage, and I was looking at the clock and she's going to run out of time to get it done. But her transition into the armbar was actually really nice. She got it in under her armpit. She dropped her leg back to put some pressure on the shoulder, and that would have been a pretty full-on hyperextension on the elbow. That was pretty nice. There wasn't long to go.
Yeah. I think Kalindra has had a couple UFC fights now. Doesn't have a win. She may want to get that UFC logo lasered pretty shortly, eh?
Well, I was saying to you, I'm pretty sure she came from Titan FC, and you know, like, to come over as a champion from Titan FC, they don't have a strong women's league, so I think she's finding out pretty quickly that her bout's not worth much more than keeping her pants up at the UFC, and maybe she should get it covered.
Well, even, man, some of the women's divisions in the UFC aren't very heavy, you know, there's some pretty thin divisions apart from, what's the smallest one, strawweight?
Adam.
But like in UFC don't have 105.
No, that's it.
115 is like, there's some pretty competitive, or a bunch of competitive matchups to make there, but the other two, they're kind of struggling at the moment, eh? So.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Alright, next fight, we really enjoyed, we didn't fucking watch Mickey Gall versus George Sullivan somehow, but you see Mickey got the rear naked choke about a minute and kinda, I did consider making a play on Gall by submission, but then I was like, I can't really trust that guy. Especially against kind of like a veteran dude. I was like, oh, maybe the vet will, you know, be able to stay away from the sub, but apparently it took all of 1 minute 9 seconds. But
he probably came out that stupid song again too.
What song does he come out to?
Mickey, you're so
Oh fuck, nah, I think they stopped him.
Yeah, good.
I think they done for a good fucking reason. Next up, we had Andrew Sanchez defeating Marcus Perez via unanimous decision.
Exciting fight.
And that was another fun fight, eh? I was like, real impressed with both guys, actually.
Yeah, it was a good fight for middleweight. That was full on, non-stop.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I heard a lot of people, I saw a lot of people in the kind of MMA gambling community talking about Sanchez don't have a gas tank, but it looked great cardio displayed in this fight.
Yeah, he took it. He was grinding away. He was pushing Perez up against the cage, which is a smart idea to do, especially coming into round one, because Perez, he's got unorthodox striking, and for that weight, when you get hit with something that you don't see coming, and he was throwing a lot of spinning stuff, a lot of looping things that you know, they'll put you to sleep.
Yeah,
like, they're big dudes.
Upward elbows.
He's spinning a lot with the elbows as well as the feet. So when he's spinning, you don't know if he's coming with a spinning kick or if he's going to bring the elbow or the fist behind it. I thought Sanchez did a real good job, like just keeping him up against the cage to start, but it didn't really slow Perez down.
Yeah. Sanchez appears to have like really good eyes and instinct in there. Like, so even against an opponent whose striking is real unpredictable and varied, Sanchez seemed to do a real good job of like seeing what was coming, eh?
He does. He's got a chin too, man.
Yeah.
He got hit a couple of times. There was one elbow that Perez stepped in that was hard. And I was saying to you, I was like, he needs to bring the jab into his game. Sanchez really needed to start making Perez respect that space a little bit more. And you know, in terms of bringing his wrestling in, I felt the jab needed to be a part of that, and he ended up bringing it in at the end of round 2 and then certainly through round 3, and not loading up, just tapping away, and I thought that probably is what got the job done for him in the end.
Yeah, it was strange in the first round. He didn't like fight behind the jab, and then when he started landing like really good combinations. Like, oh, why weren't you doing this from the beginning?
Couldn't you hear us, bro?
Next up, another real exciting fight.
Oh, dang, yeah.
Corey Sandhagen defeating Yuri Alcantara via second round TKO. Wild.
That was crazy shit.
Have you? That may be one of the worst subs I've seen someone in that they haven't tapped to. That was.
I was screaming. Hey, that was bad. There was a full hyperextension of the elbow. Alcantara is an absolute beast on the ground. The way he, before you even start talking about the sub, the way he set that armbar up was insane. So he set that up from almost a turtle position, got it in real tight before he rolled over with it, and he had it deep under his armpit, thumb to the ceiling, and there was like almost like a 15-20 degree hyperextension on it. It was to tough that out and to sit there, and he was like had his head locked in a triangle position too. Damn.
Do you think that's maybe why the referee let Sandhagen punch Alcantara on the ground 800,000 times just so he could get his payback for that that fucking armbar?
That referee, man, I've never seen that dude before. I don't think we'll ever see him again. He'll definitely lose his license, at least in Nebraska.
Yeah.
That was bad. So you can probably make a case that the fight should have been stopped when the first round. In a couple ways. Sandhagen in that triangle position when his hand was extended, was getting hit with hammer fist and was unable to defend himself, and he got cut up.
He was getting beat up.
So there's referees that would have stopped it then, and then later in the fight when Alcantara was getting beat to shreds on the ground, and there's a case that the fight could have been stopped then too, a really good case, and then come round two, man, we were screaming, just going, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was horrible to watch. There's been some bad ones, and like maybe the shots that were landing weren't as bad as ones I've seen, but it went for so fucking long.
Bro, he was done. He was done, and like Alcantara's a tough dude. He's not gonna tap out from strikes. He's like, the ref should be there to put an end to that. He wasn't in the competition. It wasn't a competition anymore.
Yeah.
He wasn't being competitive. He wasn't looking to improve the position. He was just surviving.
Yeah.
And he took a good minute of extra punishment.
I guess there's another interesting aspect to that is that MMA corners don't throw in the towel. Never. And there's like in a situation like that, you need to throw the towel because the ref ain't protecting your fighter.
The rumour is that he got pulled off the rest of the card. We certainly didn't see him again, did we?
Yeah.
So the UFC got in and they removed that guy. Whether it was the UFC or the commission, it would have to be the commission.
Yeah.
He was done.
As a cornerman yourself, what do you think you would have done in that situation? Punch the ref?
I don't know, man, but I would have seriously been thinking about throwing the towel in, regardless, and then I'd sort it out with my guy afterwards, because you don't want to see it's just unnecessary,
Yeah.
Like he was done, man. What do you do?
It's funny that it's quite interesting that boxing, it's relatively perfectly fine to throw in the towel, and MMA, it's not. I understand why, because for instance what fight? Oh, there's been a bunch of fights lately where guys lost for 3 rounds and then fucking gets a sub right at the very end or something, and that happens in MMA. Like the comeback is more likely in MMA, but sometimes it's just like
there's more opportunities too. The gloves are 4 ounces, so you can certainly wing some punches and catch someone in the wrong or the right spot, whatever way you look at it. You can throw up subs at the last minute. We've seen a few Hail Marys recently.
Yeah.
Dudes get caught, but at the end of the day, like the referees are there for the fighter's welfare, and they need to administer it correctly. Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Hard out. So real big win for Sandhagen, and he is exciting. I'm interested to see what he does next. Next up, the most surprising result of the night for me, James Krause coming out, deciding he's like a pretty good striker all of a sudden, and defeating Warley Alves via 2nd round KO with a vicious knee.
Damn.
Like, that landed so sweet.
Yeah, he was my sweet boy. I was really surprised with Crouch. His striking up to date has looked terrible, like clunky, stiff. He's come down a weight division, hasn't he? He came down.
No, he's gone up.
Sorry, he's gone up.
Yeah.
So no weight. So and you can't attribute that to the weight cut. So it's something he's done with his camp. He's obviously put some work in. One thing that I noticed, and sometimes when guys are stiff and rigid in their striking, like he had been previously, it's because they're trying to load up on their shots, and they're really trying to put people away with one shot. what Kraus did beautifully is he just played the inside line, so he was just tapping away. He wasn't overloading, he was just touching him with his gloves, and it was doing the damage. Like, Alves is a to-be-feared kickboxer, but he was forcing Alves to the outside with his punches, forcing him to throw loopy round punches, and Kraus just lined him up like straight down the guts. Won the inside line, and then that sets up your power shots. It sets up your knees. It sets up your uppercuts, which he threw some really nice uppercuts as well.
And Alves is a guy also who likes to back off, get space, and then re-engage. And every time he tried to do that, Kraus kept coming at him, putting stuff in his face, whether it was like just throwing out the feints or the light jab, or you know, you could see so many moments in that fight where Alves wanted a break, and Kraus was not giving him a break. Real smart game plan and implemented real fucking well.
It was implemented real well, and like you say, not giving him a breather, and that's something you can afford to do. If you're putting only 60 or 70% into each shot, then that allows you to keep the work rate up and to throw in more volume and not to gas. Whereas, you know, Alves is forced to load up and throw wild, using all his gross motor, like large muscle groups, and that ties you up. Especially he's a big dude too. You know, he's a big dude.
He's thick.
He's thick. He's thick. Quite thick.
I'd be interested to hear Kraus talk about this fight, because I wonder about, because he's doing a lot of coaching now, and then so see a guy who coaches a lot of fighters come in with a really good game plan and implement a game plan. I wonder how much of that is drawing on his experience as a coach now. And all right, next up we had the performance of the night from Eric Anders defeating Tim Williams by a 3rd round KO. Crazy KO, so vicious. But up until that point, Eric Anders looked like a really limited fighter, and he was supposed to have a layup. Everyone thought this was a layup for him versus Tim Williams, and Tim Williams came out and gave a good account of himself.
Tim Williams came out and looked so good.
He also looked like Voldemort.
He looked like Voldemort. He kept his wand in his pants, which was good. For telly, it was so it's just Dana White. You're Dana, so I'm just on a podcast. He came out. He was another guy that wasn't overloading his shots. He also came out and won the inside line. And one thing I think he did well against Anders, initially he was using an inside leg kick, and Anders is a guy who a southpaw who really favours that real hard left hand. He's not a one-trick pony, but like that's the basis, and that's what his striking game is built around. And he leans back on his back leg, which opens up that front leg. So he kept up with that, and from memory, Williams was kicking that body pretty hard to that far side too. Played a nice game there.
I can see Anders, so obviously he's quite fresh, and he hasn't been doing it for a long time, and he's real athletically gifted. And it's not like, so the game at the moment, his game's pretty one-dimensional, but he could add a few things, I think, and based around having that power in his left hand, he needs to add some things, and he could be a decent guy, and with the natural gifts he has, and it is early days. So, but yeah, I was expecting to see more improvement from the Machida fight he had last to this fight, and I think perhaps a bit disappointing in that regard.
I agree with you. If you're a southpaw, like your main weapons are always going to be your rear hand and your rear kick. And if your weight and you need to afford yourself, especially against the orthodox fighter, you need to really maximise the range of those two weapons. And if you're leaning right back on your back leg, you're fairly limited in terms of being able to cover distance. Like there's more telegraph, you need to cover more ground to land it. So I'd like to see him start throwing a bit of a lead hook to set it up, or feint with his hips to cover some ground and throw it. He still covers ground, but like you say, more experienced guys, if they're looking for that weapon, you need to give them a little bit more to think about. Catch him.
Totally.
And Tim Williams also took him down a couple of times, and wasn't trying to control him on the ground for long periods of time. He just made him carry his weight, made him get up, make him work against the cage. I think it was a good fight, and I started rooting for Voldemort at the end. Then I was kind of a bit bummed when he got knocked out, but holy shit, he got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, that kick, the finish reminded me of like UFC 1 or something. Remember that sumo dude got his teeth kicked out of his mouth?
Into the front row or something.
That shit reminded me of that, and it was, I guess, beautifully timed by Anders because his hand just lifted.
I would have got. It was almost going upstairs. That was almost old school Pride days. Vanderlei Silva 101.
Yeah, that shit was scary, man. I'm surprised that he got up quicker than Vic did.
Black Magic.
Yeah. Next fight, another fucking. Oh, I should state here also that. So the main card, the main card we're drinking Bloody Mary, so some of my memory might be foggy around these fights. But Davison Figueiredo defeating John Moraga via second round TKO. I love that Moraga comes out to Thuggish Ruggish Bone, and I love that Davison Figueiredo, who like I said last week is the 125 Yoel Romero, and just throws fucking bombs like he weighs 200 pounds or something.
His head looks like a Pokemon ball too.
It does actually. What do you think of this one?
Well, look, I don't think much about. I had to go to the BP station to get some ice with the Bloody Marys, but Moraga's got a stupid tattoo on his back.
Yeah.
I didn't actually watch the fight.
Fuck yeah, okay, so I got to cover this one, and
so what do you think about the fight?
Well, I think this is when my Bloody Marys were starting to kick in at this point, so I can't remember, but I remember the finish, and I guess what I saw happening there was Moraga was getting into a firefight with the 125-year-old Romero, who just throws bombs, and they were exchanging in the pocket, and I don't think there was a good place for Moraga to be with that little fucking head.
Moraga's good when he can play his game, not when he gets sucked into a brawl. Like when he fought Ashkan up in Sydney, that was an example of where he was, allowed
in Auckland.
In Auckland. He was allowed to set up his, set up and play his game, and that's when he's devastating. You're getting sucked into a brawl with a dude like that, that's just never a good idea, man.
Yeah.
That dude's got little bombing knockers on his hands, eh?
Yeah.
And he'll back it up too.
Yeah, I think Figueiredo's good for the division too, so 125er with big power in his hands who I think a big thing about Figueiredo is his confidence, man, so he backs himself, he goes in, and he's like, I'm going to land my shot and you're going to go down, and that's, I guess he's kind of unique at that division until Kai Kara France comes in and
takes his stupid head off.
That'd be a fun fight.
That's a good fight.
Yeah.
That's a good fight. Kai's got a bit of work to do now to get up and he's kind of earned his stripes now. He's going to be up and sitting around the top of that is he ranked yet? He's not ranked yet, is he?
Ranked, no.
But he'll be getting up there now after this fight, and so Kai will do a bit of. We'll get up there too, but that's a good fight.
Yeah, I like that. I like that down the line. In the meantime...
the Ashkan fight was in Sydney because the crowd were booing him, remember?
No, we were together in Auckland watching it. It was the Auckland one we went to.
Podcast, bro.
Next up, we had Brian Barberena defeating Jake Ellenberger and retiring in his hometown. First round TKO. I wasn't sure if it was a punch or just a breeze that drops Ellenberger several times.
That stiff Nebraska breeze.
Yeah, I guess I kind of understand. I guess like when I figured out that Ellenberger's from there, it's like, okay, he's gonna chop the gloves down.
I'd say he probably had to he had to really kind of push his case for that fight, because man, that dude's just, he's been in some serious wars. Like he's been in some beautiful fights. I think he's got the second most knockdowns in UFC history, and that's because he gets in wars. But he's an old war horse. He's about almost 40 fight veteran, 21 of those fights, or 22 of those
45.
fights. 45, dang son.
Yeah.
21 of those in the UFC or 22 in the UFC.
Yeah. So all that high level.
High level. It cool to see him get to lay his gloves down in front of the hometown. But like, man, honestly, that he had to stop Barberena in the first round, or he was just going to sleep. Like his chin's gone. His eyes even look glassy coming in. Like I noticed.
Yeah.
And you know, who knows if that was the emotion, like of
Why did they match him up with? Why did they match him up with a guy with like 9 KOs on his record? Why did they give him some guy with like pillow fists or something?
Yeah, well, Barberena's got a pillow belly. I'll tell you that. It looked like he did his whole fight camp at KFC, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, rest in peace, Jake Allenberger.
Rest in peace, legend, man.
Yeah. Next up, Courtney Casey defeated Angela Hill via split decision. Real close, I thought. I'd scored it for Angela. I thought she landed more. She landed the better strikes, I thought. Perhaps Casey's were heavier and Angela was kind of wearing the damage. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think Hill certainly had more variety in his striking. She, in the end of the first round, I was pretty convinced that she had hurt Courtney's leg, that Casey's leg was damaged. And then she moved away from the leg kick, like coming out second round, stopped kicking the leg, which I thought was a mistake. When you've got someone like Courtney Casey who plants her feet, stands heavy with her head straight on the line, and just looks to counter and like a rock'em sock'em robot, the opportunity for someone on a lot of their as light on their feet as Angela Hill was to finish with get 3 punches off, land a low kick.
Yeah.
But she, she's tough too. She likes to fight. She's got plenty of fight of the night type potential. She loves getting in a scrap, but she just kept coming forward on the same line. She would angle on the outside and then come forward on the same line, which allowed Courtney Casey to throw straight back down the line and tag her because she was always there. Courtney Casey just throwed less variety. She was throwing a lot with her hands. But I'd say it's probably the damage that got it done in the end. She certainly landed more significant strikes.
Yeah.
It was a very close one. But man, don't leave it in the hand of the judges.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the thing. So even in thinking Angela Hill won, I'm not pissed off. But you need to do more to convince the judges you really won that fight. So if you don't get the decision, you can't really be too mad about it, can you?
She Mark Henry?
Yeah.
She's Mark Henry. She's so Mark Henry. Like when you watch her moving around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon Angela Hill, more angles, especially with those bigger girls. Like Courtney Casey looked considerably bigger. I don't know, she looked considerably bigger. Like real big. I'd suggest that Angela's not cutting much, so cut angles. Don't stand and trade.
Yeah.
And Courtney Casey, no Tom Green in our corner this fight.
Yeah.
What does that do to that?
I'm glad because
Really
I
got
fucking hate seeing his face.
Stupid do-rag.
Yeah, motherfucker.
That's the guy from Stipe's camp. Don't even know.
Yeah, he was jumping around when that other woman from their camp won recently, and she was talking shit about how she deserved the title. I was like, "Well, you just came off like a 3-fight losing streak. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah. Who are you people? And what are you doing here?"
You stupid do-rag.
Yeah, so one thing I really liked that I thought Hill did well in the fight was so she did the feint where you don't feint with your hands, but you feint to step in and then draw out the attack, and she'd just get out the way and then come back in, combinations. She was throwing the hands a lot, finishing with the leg kick a lot. Yep. She did some real nice stuff, so I think still, and she threw some shit with power in this fight, which is what she I think her game had been lacking. So kind of not the worst case scenario for Angela Hill. I think she still kind of has some good fights ahead of her.
For sure.
Next up in the co-main event, I don't remember shit of this fight. Did we? Were we just not paying attention? Were you paying attention? Michael Johnson
Philly
defeated Andre Philly via split decision.
Yeah, split decision. Yeah.
So. Yeah, 2 judges had 29-28s for Johnson and 1 judge had all rounds for Fairley.
Can't really remember this fight.
Neither for some reason. No. But I don't think it was a bad fight.
Do you know what? The card was
long.
the card was long, but there was a lot of like really entertaining and memorable moments. A lot of action. I can remember that these guys might have got stuck into it a bit. I remember watching them come out and seeing how charged Johnson and Philly were when they were both in the ring. Like they were real down to scrap. You can't remember too much about the action, to be honest.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, it looked like a pretty typical Michael Johnson performance and a pretty typical Andre Fairley performance. I think maybe he didn't wrestle or grapple as much as he usually likes to.
Fairley's hands were I remember we were having a discussion that, we were expecting Michael Johnson probably to have the quicker hands, and Fairley kind of took it to him and was beating him to the punch on occasion. We had a bunch of people rock over.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, and Johnson, I do recall Johnson several times landing that straight left that is fucking lightning fast, and just the way Fairley's head would pop back every time he landed that. Yeah, pretty trademark Johnson shit, but as you can tell, we didn't pay much attention, so we'll just get on to the next fight. Main event, fucking Justin Gaethje, aka the Homer Simpson of MMA, according to the now defeated by first round KO James Vick. 1 minute 1:27 seconds was how long it took. Quicker than I expected.
How many?
1 minute 20.
Stop.
1 minute 27 seconds. But bummed day that it was over so quick.
I was bummed. I was really looking forward to seeing that fight play out. Hey, I like. Don't get me wrong, the knockout was incredible.
Yeah.
But the way James Vick started off was exactly the way you need to fight. Justin Gaethje, he was staying long. He was using his jab. He wasn't loading up. I don't think for 1 second the game plan from Vick's camp was to take it to decision. So there's no point pulling punches, but he was owning that range. And Vick's got dangerous knees, man. He's got dangerous knees, and when you play a high guard, like a high shield, like Gaethje plays, you can be susceptible for the things that are coming up. Rear uppercuts, rear knees, and playing long with that jab, playing long with those front kicks. That's how and making Gaethje slip. Try and get past those and into range, that's going to set those up. But he came unstuck when he moved straight back, ran out of real estate, and Gaethje put him to sleep. So
bombed on him. So one of the things I was saying in my breakdowns last week, also aside to the disappointment of the quick finish, is like, is it really a Justin Gaethje fight if you don't see him land at least one leg kick? We've been talking about the leg kicks all day, and I was like, fuck, I can't wait to see him chop up Vick's legs and all this shit, but didn't even have to. But so one of the things I was saying in my breakdowns last week is that when pressed backwards, James Vick, Freudian slip, James Vick goes backwards, and his striking defense is to lift his head right up in the air and expose his chin. And yeah, the knockout was about as Stefan Struve as you can be without being Stefan Struve, I thought.
Being Dutch, yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little bit emotionally invested in that. I've trained with James Vick over at Phuket Top Team. Super nice guy. Like, you really, he tries to put forward a version of himself in the media that's just not him. He's not like that.
Yeah.
And but I love Justin Gaethje and watching him fight. So it kind of sucked to see him get knocked out like that. But I love seeing knockouts like that.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. Vick needed to have real estate to be able to angle off and circle off, and he ran out of space up against the cage, and his chin's always been an issue, hanging out in the air. And for a tall guy, short guys like AJ, you're going to find that with a looping punch.
Yeah.
It wasn't inevitable, but that was the highest risk of the fighting style for me.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, so that's what Dariush did to him too. And Dariush is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not a striker. He's got some power, and he's learned some striking, but Justin Gaethje is a good fucking striker. I don't know. A lot of people were talking about Justin Gaethje's hands ain't that good. But what is it? He's what? 18-2.
When James Vick wakes up, someone can go ask him. I think the thing with Dariush is he's also a guy that throws big looping hands that hard, and he ducks off to the side. You know, and you know that's when your chin's hanging out and you're tall, they're gonna catch you in the wrong spot. You know, big time.
I think this is a massive setback for Vic. So he's been like calling for a ranked opponent, a guy ranked above him for a long time now. And the last time he got that was Dariush, and he got starched, and that's happened again, man. So he's got a hard road back to like some big fights now, eh?
He does, yeah. And Gaethje coming off 2 losses. Yeah.
I wonder if he'll think about welterweight. He's fucking massive.
Yeah, I think I don't think he can think about welterweight. Like at the weigh-ins, he was looking gaunt. His eyes were all sucked in. His cheekbones were hanging out. But like his asset is that he can be long and tall. I think he gives that up if he moves up, and then
true that.
Yeah, I think he gets found out at a bigger weight.
Yeah.
But Gaethje and that division now, like the options for fights are interesting for him.
Yeah. So we're talking before and thinking he could possibly be looking at either a Barboza or a Kevin Lee fight. A Lee fight, I think, is horrible for Gaethje if you want Gaethje to get some wins. Barboza fight, not so much, because it's Barboza's a guy where probably the best way to fight him is to apply pressure, which is Gaethje's game. But you can also get your fucking head kicked off into the stratosphere.
I really like that fight. Like, and if you look at what's around him, I think Lee's earned himself something bigger and better than Gaethje. To be honest, like he's really proved himself, and he'll get something higher up. He might get a Poirier or an Alves, who are the kind of next guys up. And I don't think that I don't think a rematch is on the cards for either of them with Gaethje. So I think the Barboza fight makes sense. He's coming off a loss.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense. They're probably sitting around the same in the rankings from memory.
Do you know what would be a fucking fun fight, but might not get matched up because of where they both stand in the division? But Gaethje Dober.
Oh damn.
That would be a fucking fight.
Dober's probably got, if he can, and at that division, he's going to start walking through some dudes, I'm telling you. But 2 guys that, they'll just come head to head and they'll meet in the middle and just throw down.
Straight up
big
war
time.
That fight. I think even at the expense of like career trajectories and shit, maybe I'd rather see that fight than like Gaethje versus, you know, one of the top guys.
Dober, and I didn't know too much about his Muay Thai pedigree, but he's got championships in Muay Thai, and like when you start, if you look away from the way he bounces around on his toes, and he's standing tall and his front foot's turned dead straight, and so he'd be able to check some Gaethje leg kicks and then meet him with the hands. Like that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll call Dana back and I'll say.
Yeah, tell him. So yeah. That's about it for this recap. I imagine, being that was the last fight, I don't write down any other things we needed to discuss. Do we have a time on there? No. We'll just wrap it up, I guess. But any final thoughts, Matty, or anything you're looking forward to, or praise you want to give me for being like such a great gambler? Or,
I'd like to give you some praise for being such a great gambler.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
yeah, it's good. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Say nice things about my brother, because we're headed to UFC Adelaide in early December to see some of the Kiwi and Australian boys fight, and we'll do some more shows then if we don't do some before, if we figure out how the technology works. So thanks so much for joining me, Big Matty Ray.
All good.
And I'll be back next week, I imagine, with my picks for the Woodley Till. What's that, UFC 226?
Yeah. Done.
Ciao.
Cheers, boys.